Okay, so I'm guessing they do talk about the PlayStation 6 and the new Xbox. I can't even come up with a name for
Welcome back
it.
to Next Gen Console Watch, our show following
Xbox
all the
Series
latest
Z?
gaming hardware. I'm Damon Hatfield, and this week I'm joined by Logan Plant, host of Nintendo Voice Chat, Max Scoville, host of Podcast Beyond, and Ryan McCaffrey, host of Podcast Unlocked. And with Metroid Prime 4 out now, that's the last game of the year from Nintendo for the Switch 2. Effective
When did this release, by the way? Metroid Prime 4. Oh, literally last week, Thursday. I didn't even know that.
closing
Alright,
the
let's
new console's
continue.
launch window. And so it is time for us, as video game critics, to grade the latest Nintendo console's debut. Now, the Switch 2 is a huge commercial success. It has sold over 10 million units already. It's the biggest console launch
Yes.
ever here in the US. Nintendo even raised its hardware forecast for the year in response to the Switch 2's spectacular performance. It now expects to shift 19 million units of its new console before the end of March 2026. But what do we think about Nintendo's first-party game lineup? Does it have a killer app? It's the most expensive Nintendo console ever, and yet that isn't holding it back in sales. Not only are people willing to pay more, Nintendo made sure it had enough stock available to meet demand. So, Logan, let's start with you as the host of the number one Nintendo podcast. How would you grade the Switch 2 launch window?
Yeah, well, first, even just hearing you say Metroid Prime 4 is out, I reviewed that game, I finished it, I've played it, and I still can't believe it. Like, it's been so long. It's great that that game is finally out in the wild. It's been a great year. I think undeniably.
What does he mean he finished it? He's played it since the week? These guys have so much time on their hands. I
This has
can't
been a
imagine
very
living like that
successful year, both
yet.
from a software perspective and, as you said, a commercial perspective for Nintendo. I'm giving them a B+ overall. I think it's been a very strong launch window for Switch 2.
I was
But I just
thinking
think
that too,
you
yeah.
talked
Something in
about
the
maybe one of the most
80s.
important parts of this is demand. They completely met demand for this. Black Friday has come and gone, and anyone who wanted to get a Switch 2 for their kids for Christmas.
I feel like 7.9-inch as a screen size, you're so close. Just make it 8. Just make it 8. Don't get me wrong, that's still big enough for me. Pause. The Steam Deck is 7.4, the OLED one anyway. The LCD is 7 inches flat. But yeah, it's just 0.1 away. Just make it not 8. I'm not complaining. I just feel like, just round it up.
And that's great. And that is usually a huge, huge challenge for a console in its first year. So availability-wise, that's fantastic. Software-wise, I think it's been very strong. It does not live up to the 1-2 punch of Zelda Breath of the Wild and Super Mario Odyssey last time around, 2 top 10 Nintendo games of all time, according to our recent list that came out within 7 months of each other. But it's still been really solid. Donkey Kong Bonanza is the best Switch 2 game so far. I gave that.
Yeah, I think that's the flagship title. The destruction physics, how beautiful the worlds are. That's their standout title. They already outdid themselves with Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. To be honest, I don't really know how they're even gonna top those 2 games. What the next mainline Zelda entry, I don't know why I struggle to say that. The next mainline Zelda entry will be, I don't know. I really don't.
Games of all time. And then elsewhere, you've just
because
a lot of really
the first 2 are so good.
Mario Kart World didn't hit like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. It's just not as good as that game. It's still a great game. And then this fall has seen a lot of really solid entries like Kirby Air Riders. That's going to be really niche. It's doing super well in Japan, not as much over here, but the people that love that game really, really love that game. It's going to be, I think, a cult classic in this library the whole generation. We got a Zelda spinoff. We got Metroid Prime 4, which thankfully turned out very well after 8 years of development hell. So
how pretty DK Bonanza is.
So I think it's been really solid. I think that after 8 years of
Wait, what? What took 8 years to build?
Thankfully turned out very well after 8 years of development hell. So that was great to see too. So I think it's been really solid.
Metroid Prime 4.
Like the Nintendo Switch 2 edition stuff has been iffy. Like that Mario Party update shouldn't have cost $20. That shouldn't have been $80. Mario Kart World just shouldn't have been $80. Like the further we get from that.
How many people are gonna buy this though? Because I feel like Mario Kart would just be better than this.
Like we are trying to push people towards our digital Nintendo Switch 2 bundle edition to get people off of physical media. I really think that's the only reason that they did it. And it wasn't a great look. And it got them in a lot of hot water. And then some of their new IP, it was just really bad and forgettable. Dragon Drive, the wheelchair basketball game, was just super forgettable. Switch 2 Welcome Tour, which also started a fire by costing $10 and also wasn't a very good game. So it was by no
insane, by the way. That was the biggest gripe.
I think it's really strong with a B+.
That all sounds very reasonable to me. I would agree with most of that. Ryan, what would you think? I know you, like many people out there, are still really just getting impatient for the next 3D Mario game.
I'm gonna.
Ryan looks like an FBI agent with the cord hanging from his ear, and I don't even see the earpiece in his ear, and this other guy as well. I wish your names were
keep
below
beating the drum,
so I
and
could know
appreciate that
what their
you're now
names
just
are.
you already know what I'm gonna say with regard to that. Yeah, I mean, we are now at wait 8 years.
Oh, I see it now.
Actually,
It's kind of
think about it for
transparent.
a second, which means it's going to be at least 9 by the if it happens to come out next fall for the next mainline 3D Mario game. But yeah, I mean, it's tough to argue really against what Logan had to say there. I would go B minus. I would just go a little bit, give him a little bit slightly lower grade, only because for just me personally, the games they've shipped, while all very good, just none of them have quite hit with me the way I had wanted them to. I bought a system on day one. I don't regret doing that, especially as we kind of continually live in these uncertain tariff influenced times with regard to consumer electronics and other things for that matter. So I'm not sorry that I got one right at launch. I got my daughter one for Christmas, the Pokemon bundle, and I'm curious. I'm actually curious to see
Nice.
her reaction.
Didn't know
to
you
it
were a
because
dad.
when
I mean, you're
she knows I
presumably in
have
your
the Switch 2.
30s
She's
or
obviously
40s,
seen
so
it, and
that's
but she hasn't
surprising.
really expressed a ton of excitement in it yet, and I think it's mostly.
And yeah. You know, there was a point in time where all I did was Google Switch Pro news. But because the handheld PCs are now out, there's so many games that I wanted ports to. GTA 5 was one of them. I always wondered, when are we going to get a portable GTA 5? And it never happened until the handheld PCs came out. And then when the handheld PCs came out, they gave me even more than I could have hoped for with handheld gameplay. Even more than the supposed Switch Pro, which I guess is now the Switch 2. Because, you know, the PC handhelds allow you to mod the games, and that adds so much. And now it's like you have the freedom of a desktop OS, mainly Windows, even Steam OS. So it's like it kind of filled the gap for me where it pertains to handheld systems. So Nintendo is kind of like, nah. And I don't see there being a Switch 2 emulator anytime soon. And nobody has cracked the Switch 2 yet. But you know, I think I'll get one when they make an OLED system, or maybe I won't care by then. Who knows?
Switch 2 specific things that she can't play on her Switch 1, that my old Switch 1 that's now hers. But still, I know she's gonna enjoy the Switch 2 certainly. But yeah, I mean, as much as I was so hyped for Donkey Kong, especially after Logan's review, it's amazing. Don't get me wrong, but it just hasn't quite hit with me the way I had hoped it would. I'm not super bullish on Metroid. And then, you know, the other stuff like Zelda spin-off Hyrule Warriors. We haven't seen the A-list stuff yet, which Logan did point out. And hopefully, you know, Zelda 3D
They're clicking in with it
is
now.
obviously years and years away. But hopefully 3D Mario is coming up in the not too distant future, and maybe 2D Zelda or sort of or even potentially 2D Mario, although Wonder which I reviewed, wasn't that long ago. But I am optimistic for 2026. I'm happy I bought the system, but yeah, it's impossible to compete with the first year and the first calendar year even of the Switch 1. There are actually few systems ever that can, let alone just.
Unrelated, but this guy's face is so perfectly like symmetrical in a sense. Like, I don't know, his face just looks so neat. I'm reaching anyway.
Any PlayStation, any Xbox, it's hard to beat 2017 for the original Nintendo Switch.
Yeah, I agree. I want to get Max's thoughts on this year, but real quick, Logan, thinking about that incredible launch year for the Switch 1 in 2017, do you think that was just a happy accident that things lined up that way, or was it something to the fact that Nintendo had a lot more to prove back?
Yeah, they definitely had a lot more to prove. They were on their A game and they were on their ass with the flop that was the Wii U. It's definitely that.
Right.
Yeah, it's exactly the second one. All you have to do is look at their release calendar in 2015 and 2016 and see they put nothing out. And they were just all full steam ahead on making games for Switch 1 because Nintendo had essentially disappeared in the early 2010s and nobody was thinking about them. So they had to do that. They had to push Zelda Breath of the Wild from a Wii U exclusive to be on Switch, which was a big deal when they announced that. Mario Odyssey, there was maybe even going to be a Wii U game. And then, of course, they pushed that to Switch, poured over Mario Kart 8, the best Wii U game with a bunch of new stuff. Yeah, it's I think the software lineup for Switch 2's first year, like if this was not being graded as like a console launcher, which it is, and that's how we're grading it, this is a really solid year of software. It's just doesn't live up to that first year come out swinging. It's like just like the Switch 2 is an iterative step forward from the Switch 1, this software lineup is just it's a really solid year of Nintendo games.
All right, so Nintendo Switch 2 in 2025, B+ from Logan, B- from Ryan. Max, how about you?
I'm going to just split the difference and go with the B, but specifically B for B list because I mean,
Yeah, I definitely feel like it's in the
weird how
80s,
it's not the heavy
percentage-wise.
hitters. It's not Mario. It's not Zelda. I love Donkey Kong Bonanza. I think that's my game of the year. I absolutely adored it, but it's not a 3D Mario. It's not. I think a lot of people were a harder sell on that, whereas Mario has this kind of universal appeal. A lot of weird Donkey Kong haters came out of the woodwork. Like it was bizarre. Like my wife was like, I don't like looking at him, and I'm like, what do you mean? he's a funny monkey. What the hell?
That's crazy.
So we had a big fight about that. But no, I don't know. You got Kirby Air Riders, which isn't even like a mainline Kirby game. It's the sort of weird spin-off of that. Mario Kart World, again, really huge disappointment, and I think it says a lot that I'm as positive on the Switch. It says a lot about Donkey Kong Bonanza in particular. That I mean, I felt a little bit burned by World. I did very much appreciate. I think it's got a lot of potential. Again, it's a whole world there, and I have some hope, some faith that Nintendo is going to fill it up with things. They just put up a big patch today that addressed a bunch of kind of known issues and did some little quality of life tweaks. But I really hope they're cooking up some kind of a content drop to give this a little bit more oomph. It'd be really nice for all the people who picked up new Switches and are probably jumping on this because they assume it's as good as Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. But as for the lineup, I mean, it is an iterative system. It when I got it, it didn't feel like a new toy. It felt like a new phone. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. I'm currently playing Link's Awakening with my daughter, and it runs beautifully, which is not something you can necessarily say about how it ran on the base Switch. Like it kind of chugged a bit here and there. And I don't know. It's nice to see in the same way that a bunch of Wii U games got deluxe versions. It's nice to see.
Even though this is, I can't even call it 2D because it's clearly 3D models. I can't call it 2.5D. It's like a 3D bird's eye view. That's what it is. The texture work on this looks so solid, and the reflections. This looks good. This looks like something that's, I guess, new, you could say. It looks pretty good. I wouldn't be into this though. I like the Breath of the Wild full open world traversal. So this isn't my type of game.
Little updates and occasionally,
but I know it's a remake, so
occasionally you have to pay a lot of extra bucks. Animal Crossing New Horizons, the Switch 2 upgrade for that is what, like $5 or something?
$5, yeah.
Yeah, that feels incredibly reasonable and generous. And at the same time, they're still doing new content drops for people playing on Switch 1. That's looking ahead at next year. But I mean, it didn't quite have that, that fun gimmick or that fun sort of special new thing that I was hoping.
This is a nice setup.
You kind of hope for from a new system, but that is probably for the best. The Wii U was completely out there and trying to one up the Wii, and that just didn't work. And I feel like they kind of dialed things back, and they gave us one of the best systems ever made. With the Switch 2, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. They're kind of sticking with what it is, and I have faith that with the amount of consoles they've sold, there are a lot of Switch 2 games in the works. So looking forward to that.
All right, we all seem to be in agreement. Switch 2 definitely off to a really good start in 2025, but looking ahead to 2026, how do things look? There's nothing of the A-listers that Ryan mentioned. There's not a new 3D Mario announced yet, or new Zelda. But what we know so far is that Animal Crossing New Horizons, a Switch 2 version, is coming. Also in January, Final Fantasy VII Remake Intergrade is coming, and that's cool. There's nothing of the
wait, come again?
Ryan mentioned. There's not a new 3D Mario announced yet, or new Zelda. But what we know so far is that Animal Crossing New Horizons, a Switch 2 version, is coming. Also,
wait, hold on. I think that's just an existing, yeah. Yeah, so it's just like a Switch enhanced version. It's not a
So
brand
in
new
January,
game. A
Final
Switch 2
Fantasy VII
enhanced version, I
Remake
should
Intergrade
say.
is coming, and that's cool. But we're also getting third-party games day one, which is
You know, we're probably getting the Lego
Shocking to me.
Batman game, the
Resident Evil
new one,
Requiem.
I would think.
It's coming to Switch 2 at launch.
Yeah.
007
And it looks
First
great.
Light. 007 First Light is
Crazy.
coming in March. It's crazy. February is also going to be Mario Tennis Fever. March is Pokemon Pokopia. And then looking, later into the year, Dustbloods, the next FromSoft game, is currently a Switch 2 exclusive. Elden Ring is coming eventually. Hopefully that turns out better than when we saw it at Gamescom.
Okay, I'm just hearing about this Dusk Bloods. You know, I'll watch it on my own
4th
time.
Anniversary Edition is coming. Then Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle is coming over. Lego Batman Legacy of the Dark Knight. Super Mario Wonder is coming to Switch 2. And then Yoshi and the Mysterious
There it
World.
is. I
That's
was just
the thing
talking about that.
we know of, the big stuff that we know of that's coming so far. Logan, how are you feeling about 2026 for the Switch 2?
Yeah, I think it looks fine. It looks good so far. It looks very much like we were just talking about. These are solid Nintendo games that Nintendo fans will really like, but for kind of a general wider audience who really wants to show up for a Mario, a Zelda, a Smash Brothers, that stuff's not here yet, and I don't think any of it's coming next year. What I do think is coming is next year's Pokemon's 30th anniversary. Pokemon Gen 10 will be one of the best-selling games next year. I expect that to be a Switch 2
Gen
exclusive.
10,
So that's
Ben
probably
10.
be their huge fall game. So I think you're still looking at another year that doesn't have the stuff that like Ryan is looking for example. But I think some of this is really solid. You're just getting more Nintendo franchises getting their great sequels to Switch 1 games on Switch 2. Three Houses, best-selling strategy RPG of all time. Here's Fortune's Weave, a new Fire Emblem coming out on Switch 2. So I think it looks solid.
This
but
looks
not
good.
Like 9 or 10 out of 10 exciting yet.
Oh, never
Ryan, you think
mind.
you'll
I don't
revisit
like these
Mario,
types of games.
Wonder or even Indiana Jones: The Great Circle on Switch 2?
Unlikely. I mean, there's so many new games to play that I've got I'm part of the problem. I paid the $40 for Galaxy 1 and 2 on Switch 2. So if I even get time to revisit something older, that's probably what it's going to be, because I love the Galaxy games so much. But yeah, I wonder if 3D Mario. Logan's not optimistic, but if it happened next year, we're staring down 3D Mario and GTA 6 in the fall. Wow, that would be pretty darn impressive. It would be the best fall ever. But
Yeah.
I'm sure Logan probably has a better sense of when that game's going to finally show up. If it doesn't show up next year, it means we're going a decade at least between new mainline 3D Mario games, which is insane to me.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. Max, is there anything you're looking forward to playing on the Switch 2 next year thus far?
I'm just morbidly curious about Duskbloods.
Mhm.
I was one of the many Bloodborne fans who was really sad.
Yeah,
because
me too.
Bloodborne
I'm
2
gonna
got
watch it when I'm
revealed
done,
at
the trailer.
Nintendo Direct, but it still looks really interesting. And I don't know, Miyazaki said that it's his approach to a multiplayer game. And initially, one of my concerns was, will it have a big enough install base to sustain a good amount of players? But looking at the Switch's sales numbers, I don't think that's going to be too much of a problem. I just also don't know what this game is.
Yep. It's a little bit of a question mark on the release calendar for now. Okay, viewers, listeners, we want to know, how would you grade Nintendo Switch 2's launch window? Make sure to vote at IGN.com the day this episode goes live. We'll share the results with you next episode, just like we can with last episode's poll. We were talking about the Steam machine coming next year, and we asked, do you
Yeah,
game
I
on
would say it's a
PC
B
currently?
plus too. Then again, I never really understood the difference between a B and a B plus. I just know B's to be 80 to 89%, and I believe the Switch 2 is within that range. So I'm gonna call it a B. I agree with that. Alright, so let's look at these stats. Yes, I built a gaming PC, 21%, 21.3. Nope, I'm a console gamer, 20.5. A little on, I handle like the Steam Deck. I fall into
You're
these
pretty
two
much split down the
categories, the
middle.
bottom two.
46.5% said yes, you built a gaming PC, and 44.8% said nope, you're a console gamer. So that's pretty much right down the middle. Just under 9% said you dabble, maybe you do some handheld PC gaming on something like the Steam Deck. So definitely interesting to talk more about Steam Machine on this show going into next year. Now, calling all Fallout fans.
Yes,
The
yes,
Wand
yes.
Company has created a 1x1 screen-accurate replica of the Pip-Boy 3000 MKV, built using the actual geometry from the Fallout TV series. It's got a die-cast metal faceplate, hand-weathered finish, memory foam cuff, and a working TFT LCD screen that displays over 45 in-universe screens. It's also a fully functional clock with an alarm mode, FM radio, and it comes with a premium display stand that turns it into the
That thing
ultimate
must be
desk
heavy
or
as hell.
nightstand centerpiece. Whether you're cosplaying, collecting, or just living your best wasteland life, this is the perfect Pip-Boy. Grab yours now at store.ign.com before they're gone. And that is our show. Thank you to Logan, Max, and Ryan for joining me today. Thank you to everyone working behind the scenes to make this episode possible. My name is Damon. We'll be back next week with more on the latest in gaming hardware. We'll see you then. This episode of Next Gen Console Watch was produced by myself, Damon Hatfield, and Jobert Atienza. Technical direction is by Jobert Atienza, with technical production by Marian Franzen and Amir Rakib. Audio engineering is handled by Amir Rakib. Post-production editing is by Jobert Atienza, and graphic design is by Justin Vachon. Next Gen Console Watch is an IGN production and part of the Geek Media Network.
All right, that was a pretty solid video. Hope y'all enjoyed, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Goodbye.